and gentlemen, a very good evening. You're watching the News Night and I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. You know, we can actually say that the very first wave has finally rolled. But does it stop there? I'm talking of what happened vis-a-vis the Bengaluru Stampede. The Karnataka Chief Minister's political secretary is the man that you see on your screens. His name is Govindaraj. He's been sacked. He's been asked to go. He's been shunted. And this happened after NDTV also earlier exposed that there was an oral clearance that came in for the deadly RCB celebrations, and that came in from within the government. Yes, you heard that right. This came in from within the government. So those in power were aware they clearly can't be abdicating their responsibility anymore. Now let me tell you a little bit more about Govindaraj, the man whose pictures we'll again have on our screens in a moment, but he is a key insider. He arranged meetings. He was reportedly the go-to man for the RCB, the Karnataka State Cricket Association and the Chief Minister himself. He enjoyed his full trust. But now, ever since the story also broke, he has started to say that I never advised the CM. Who am I to advise the CM? These are the exact words reportedly that have been put in by certain publications. But you know what is the real question? Is Govindaraj, ladies and gentlemen, just the fall guy? Is he just being made a scapegoat? Or does this Stampede scandal go straight to the top? And when you talk of the top, you will actually be talking of the Chief Minister, the Deputy Chief Minister. On your screens are images of the celebrations, where you will see Netas. Netas struggling for a photo op. So these are Netas who will be there with you when you're celebrating. But when you're grieving, what happens? Let's also get in our colleague Deepak on top of this edition of the News Night to help you understand the larger role of this man that you see on your screens, Govindaraj. Now, Deepak, there is a lot of buzz about why has Govindaraj been shunted. I also want our team to put out details of who this man is, his past, his clout, his affiliation to the man called Siddaramaiah, who's the Chief Minister, Deepak. What have we heard from him? Has he responded to the NDTV's, questions? And has he been shunted because he is the one who gave the clearance for this grand event?
Well, as of now, I've been speaking to multiple people who are in the know-how of his proximity to the Chief Minister, of what he had to say regarding this event, what he said to, some of the media here, and what led to him being shunted out of that post as well. Now, to give our viewers a background of Mr. Govindaraj, now he was an MLC. He's been a very close confidant of the Karnataka Chief Minister. Now, while look at all the developments that have been taking place as far as Mr. Govindaraj is concerned. Now, it is said that he was in touch with, officials of the RCB, KSEA. There was a lot of coordination that happened, and he had agreed for this event where the Chief Minister himself would felicitate the players after they had won the trophy and were coming to Bengaluru. Now, the question here is, after, of course, he spoke about this to the Chief Minister, facilitated a lot of things. While the Stampede happened, and one of the newspapers here allegedly asked him about him pressing for this felicitation ceremony, which eventually, of course, led to this tragedy. He has completely made a U-turn and claimed that he advised against having such a ceremony. Now, this is something that is said to
even if he did advise the Chief Minister was in the know, right? So the buck cannot just stop at this man. The buck clearly has to stop at someone else.
Yes, definitely. There has to be a lot of questions raised about, why decisions were taken. And now he is, of course, a political secretary, but is his word the last word? Right now, why was he taking unilateral decisions without the Chief Minister being kept in the loop? Whether he didn't keep anybody in the loop, these are questions that definitely come up. But right now, the government definitely feels he was somebody who used his proximity to the Chief Minister to really coordinate several things without actually keeping the Chief Minister himself in the loop. There's also information that I'm picking up that there were calls also made, to go easy on some of the, top people against whom action was initiated after the FIR was registered as well. All of this has not gone down too well
that
with
is
the government
big.
and the chief
Deepak,
minister.
that is big. If someone at the chief minister's office was actually working the phone lines to ensure that you do not go and act against certain individuals because they are high and mighty, I think that will really give away the story. Deepak, I trust you to keep us here on that breaking development, and thank you for getting us that quick insight. And I want to, without wasting time, introduce our panel of guests right now as we'll keep playing images of this man, Govindaraj. And let me also tell you, this is not a Govindaraj in isolation. This is Govindaraj along with the Chief Minister, Siddaramaiah. That is the state for you. It's a pleasure to introduce Professor Vikram Singh, who's been the former DGP of Uttar Pradesh and has a very, very strong opinion on the entire issue, I'm told. Also a pleasure to have Katyayani Chamraj, the trustee of the civic body and a Bengalurian voice, prominent one at that. Thank you to both of you. And I want to take our straight questions. These are questions, again, that a lot of our viewers have also sent to us. These are questions, I think, that matter. So let's bring up News Night's straight questions now. The first important question that has to be asked, that Sidda sacks his aide. Is this an admission of guilt? Brings us to our second straight question, and clearly this will follow to help us understand who's at the bottom and the top of this pyramid. Why override the police and allow a procession and a celebration? Because this possibly did happen. So who did that? Brings us to our third straight question, as we'll read that on our screens. Now, the police chief, remember, has been suspended. Is that real accountability? Does it just stop there? Or like a lot of people today believe, that he and his force is being made a scapegoat? Brings us to our fourth straight question on the show tonight. Can the Karnataka chief minister, and look at this, the chief minister, the deputy chief minister, the home minister, all these people are important individuals who give decisions, who take decisions, who implement them. Can they duck and dodge their responsibility? And there is an all-important hearing in the Karnataka High Court on June the 10th, is where the court has asked them, give us the status reports. Tell us what you've done. What were your arrangements? Is that going to be the moment of reckoning? Those are questions we'll discuss. First to you, Dr. Vikram Singh. When you've seen the entire sequence of events, Govindaraj, a close aide of the Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, today is sacked. But can the Chief Minister then absolve himself from any responsibility, sir?
Good evening, ladies. Advisor is an advisor. His only job is to give advice. It is for the VIP to either accept or reject the advice. Supposing he did give an advice, he cannot be held responsible. The person on the hot seat is responsible for taking a decision or not taking a decision. Therefore, Govindaraj is a very small pin in a huge government machinery. Therefore, the blame rests squarely with the number one and number two in the Karnataka cabinet. That would be the chief minister and the deputy chief minister. Make no mistake about it. The manner in which they turned topsy-turvy, first they praised the police, then they made easy scapegoats. You know, when the Karnataka High Court took suo motu cognizance, the entire might of the government came down like a ton of bricks on the police administration. I said, yes, those three important officers who were on the spot, they need to be suspended. That would be the DCP, ACP and the SHO. But to put the additional commissioner and the commissioner would go to show that perhaps just to save themselves from a possible threatening CBI inquiry, they are doing whatever they can and bulldozing anybody and everyone who they perceive could be responsible, or they can apportion the blame on them. The fact of the matter is, very rightly said, that perhaps it was because of their consent, implied or expressed, that what happened was a tragedy that was totally avoidable.
Oh, absolutely. It was avoidable. And Katyayani, before I come to you, just allow me a moment, because on our screens, I want to play out a lot more questions that are unanswered. There has been some bit of an action. We are being given an idea that, you know, the chief minister, his team is cracking the whip. But ladies and gentlemen, is that enough? When you look at these details that will fire up here on our screens, this will help you understand why this is not good enough. We want to know who gave the nod for the entire victory procession, who pushed it through, who wanted it in the first place, who would have gained advantage from it. This brings us to a second important point as far as this particular story is concerned. Remember, we were told, and Chief Minister Siddaramaiah said, that the capacity of the stadium is about 35 to 40,000 people. But there were 3 lakh people just in and around the stadium. So who allowed this chaos? There is a lot of conversation about free passes. Even the metro was made free. Was this not a crowd bait? Were the agencies absolutely not in the know? And clearly, someone there did not care. This brings us to our next important point. usually in situations like these, you have huge drones, that basically just go on top of the venue for the event for control, but crowd safety, not a priority perhaps. Brings us to our next important point. Did the political muscle overrule police warnings? Something that Vikram Singh just spoke about. The police apparently said, no, we must not have it. But who was that muscling his way and said, we must have it? And clearly, these are details that continue to shock us. The celebration that turned into a stampede. Was this all only and only for political mileage? Mileage that changes almost everything, Katyayani. Do you think we have answers to all these questions that we've discussed tonight?
Thank you for having me on this show.
Ma'am.
But I think there is a lot of confusion and there is no clarity about who gave what message. I think we have to wait for the Judicial Commission or the High Court to come to a conclusion of who is really accountable for this. But I would like to point out that how did 3 lakh people come there if RCB actually told them that only people with passes can be allowed inside the stadium? So not many people are questioning the behavior of the citizens themselves. I mean, you cannot come and be a lawless person demanding to go into the stadium when the police are telling you that the stadium is already full. Then you can't expect, when you are being lawless, to expect that your safety will be ensured. You are asking for it if you go and do something lawless. I think this is the whole thing. Let the courts and the judiciary decide who is accountable. But let me say that any other government in place would also have tried to make, political mileage of
But Katyayani, that is equally wrong. That is equally wrong. When you have 11 people losing their lives.
I'm not saying.
Yes.
I'm not saying they should be not held accountable.
So we need to start somewhere. If the political advisor, Vikram Singh, if the political advisor to the chief minister is being sacked, I want to know, will this not go higher? Because if you just look at the blame game, see how the story has moved. You've blamed the police commissioner who's been shunted out. You've blamed the RCB. You've blamed the Karnataka State Cricket Association. You've blamed everyone, Vikram Singh, but yourself. Vikram Singh, ma'am, Vikram Singh will respond to this and I'm going to come back to you. Yes.
Deeply political expediency got the better of propriety and what should have nearly happened. Their sights were on only the political advantages they could have possibly garnered from this victory procession. And the caution was thrown to the winds. Free passes in the metros, free passes as far as RCB was concerned, and first come, first served. And in a seating capacity of 35,000, almost 3 to 4 lakhs people ventured to get inside. And you had tremendous melee and the stampede really happened. It was totally avoidable. But yes, an advisor will be an advisor. That is where his brief stops. It begins as an advisor, it ends. It is for the administrative and the political leadership to have taken a considered decision. And that decision was taken and thrust upon the police. And the police could do very little in the short span of time that they had. On one hand, you praise the police. But when the chips were down, when you were held accountable by the Karnataka High Court, and the 10th June was supposed to be the day of reckoning, you thought to slaughter anyone and everyone and make scapegoats of them because they had nothing to defend themselves for. Well,
but
the truth ultimately is...
Vikram Singh, sir, when you say this, tell me one little thing, because you've been the former DGP of the state of Uttar Pradesh. In a situation like this, when you're face to face with the politicians tell you this has to be done, we have to make this a huge deal. Because, a lot of sources and a lot of inside reports and our reporters have been telling us that apparently the police said, give us 3 days. We want 3 days. Let's hold this on Sunday. Let's have enough time to galvanize our forces, to have all bandobast. Does the police have no option? Does the administration not listen in to the top cop?
Very correct conclusion. Ideally speaking, the police gave the advice of 72 hours. That was not expected. It was the painful duty of the police, because I would be living in a fool's paradise if I were to say that the police can disagree with the chief minister and the deputy chief minister, and so we will not do it. We'll obstruct and ban the procession and we'll put them behind bars. It is beyond the scope of any DGP and beyond the scope of any police commissioner. Let us be practical. The police organization works in an ecosystem, and that ecosystem is governed and moderated by the political hierarchy. Therefore, the police commissioner had no option but to comply with the instructions with little wherewithal and the reinforcement that he had and very little time to rehearse. No rehearsal, no backup, and that is why I said no drones also, no, because Bengaluru is the IT capital of the country. Any number of drones, the smart control room of Bengaluru city, and also the CCTV AI-enabled algorithms, they could have counted each and every person, but that wasn't to be because there was no time for rehearsal. And of the 5,000 deployed, 1,300 were for the bandobast of the victory parade, and the rest for the VIP security. There couldn't have been a bigger administrative tragedy than this.
Oh, absolutely, Katyayani. Do you agree with what you've just heard from Vikram Singh? You wanted to celebrate, but give the police enough time to have bandobast. Why to rush through this? You want to take political mileage, do that. But you cannot allow a situation like this to escalate to a level where 11 people have lost their lives.
Yes, definitely. There have been faults on all sides. The police also should have stood up and, insisted that they cannot make preparations so fast and it has to be postponed. But there was also the compulsion that the players would have gone home and they would not have been available if the event was postponed to Sunday or whatever. So there was a compulsion to hold it on Wednesday. And I think in some way the police has succumbed to that. But one thing I would like to mention is that the police did not give a written permission rejecting it or accepting it, which means that they kept it pending.
So do you think the police, Katyayani, is to be blamed? Do you think the police is to be equally blamed?
No, I mean, I'm sure some pressure has been put on them. I like to point out that this whole culture that we are living in, needs some systemic change. And the faults lie on the people, the citizens, the government, the police, everybody, because we have developed a culture of lawlessness. And we have voted into power people who are lawless also. And we encourage lawlessness by throwing garbage everywhere. It's not just that we wanted to enter the stadium without any pass, but we also do lawless things and we expect government to do everything right.
No, but I might differ because, I might hold a personal opinion on that entire issue, Katyayani.
Sorry.
I want Vikram Singh to respond to this point that you have raised, because you blame people, you blame the citizens, you blame everyone but yourself. You blame the top cop. You can blame the RCB, you can blame cricketers also today, you can blame the Karnataka State Cricket Association, Vikram Singh, but something in this story does not add up, because who was at the receiving end of all this? Someone who would have gained advantage if you wanted to turn this to a huge show. It is the netas, because netas want politics.
Absolutely, Deepti, with the greatest of respect to Katyayani ma'am, who has a wealth of experience and the world that she has seen. But I would like to beg to differ in the sense that the political leadership and the top two cannot absolve themselves of the responsibility of these 11 deaths and the stampede that happened. And the police, they had a problem that they did not have to handle, but it was thrust upon them. And it was the painful duty of the police commissioner to handle it whatever. A healthy SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats would have given to any basic, even a sub-inspector would have known that this is something that needs to require proper rehearsal, proper planning, proper execution, crowd management, and the AI-enabled tools also to monitor. But that wasn't to be. Political expediency had got the better of, and also the political greed to garner as much goodwill as is possible via the cricket victory. Well, the less said, the better about that. But I would say nothing shocks and surprises me any longer. We allowed the grass to grow underneath our feet deeply, and that is where the tragedy is. And then when the chips were down, we made easy scapegoats of the most disciplined people, that is the Bengaluru police, starting from the type right up to the station house officer, ACP, DCP, additional commissioner, commissioner. Right? The person on the job, person on the spot, you hold him accountable. Not everybody. And the buck does not stop at the table of the police commissioner.
But then,
it stops at
Vikram
your
Singh,
table,
the
my dear
last
Mr.
few
Chief
minutes,
Minister, sir.
Tell me something. Do you think that this case is going to move ahead?
Under these circumstances, if it is in the hands of the Karnataka government, it will move in a very devious manner. But if it is given to the CBI and the High Court monitored and a serving judge, then I think it can take a positive and an appropriate turn for the better and for the truth. Otherwise, I have my own reservations.
Vikram Singh says he has his own reservations. Katyayani sir, thank you so much for your time. As we'll continue to keep our focus on that big story and whether there is a cover-up at play. Let's also get you Newsnight's spotting shot now. You have a celebration, ladies and gentlemen, that has turned into a stampede. 11 lives lost, and now the cover-up that almost has begun. So who gave the green light? Who pushed it through? Who looked away as you had this 3 lakh strong crowd that literally surged into chaos? This isn't just mismanagement. This is real criminal neglect, and it is getting bigger. The cracks are widening, and with the High Court now stepping in, the real fireworks may just be starting. Because this time, someone at the top must answer. We'll keep asking questions, and you must keep demanding answers. That's the promise NDTV is also making. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.